All right. All right. All right. Yeah. So that little looping audio was just a little test to make sure I do in fact have audio. Last night I did a whole stream talking happily along, and there was no audio. So the previous stream was just a guy going, and nobody hearing those words except himself. What an idiot. Hey, I'm working on a game. My name's Eric. The game is called The God Killer. It is a 3D top-down puzzle-solving adventure game. It's not done yet. I'm working on it, okay? Just chill, okay? I'm gonna finish it. Just let me do my thing. No, nobody cares. There's probably like 18 people that care. Which I'm proud of, that there might be 18 people that are like, woo, it'll be cool when this comes out. Eric's done other things before we liked. Maybe this will be another thing that we like. That's kind of what they're thinking, but they know they've got a long wait. So, they got to pace themselves. They can't get all excited right now because even though I've been working on this thing for over 277 days in a row, there's a lot more to do. It's going to be a year plus before I'm done with this thing. But I'll show you where I'm at right now. Or at least I'll show you one aspect of where I'm at right now. This is the level selector. It's a place where you go and you select which level you want to be on. I'm going to hit play. This is a Unity project. It's written in C#. Okay. So I made many refinements to this. The last thing I did is I got it to... Well, you didn't hear my explanation of it yesterday. So I'll explain the last 2 days of progress. First, I got it so it would load a scene. And then I got the animation that corresponds with the level loading to be used as a progress indicator. So if the level's taking a long time to load, that animation will take a long time to finish. And if it loads really fast, then I add some logic that if it's like too fast, it'll slow down the animation so you can still see something. So here's the animation. Inspired by the movie Time Bandits. And it loaded a level which is not a level of the game, it's just a token scene. I should say it's not even a level, it's just a scene. Like an empty scene with just maybe like one polygon in it that shows that we got someplace. And now I'm thinking what I should really do is test that if once I'm at the scene or the level, I can go back to the level selector and pick something else. Because I know I've got a few problems with my use of singletons or static variables, more precisely, in that when I go to a different scene, the static variables are still initialized, but the other things that they point to are gone. So I need some kind of cleanup or reset to do a fix there, and I need some code that will just bring up the level selector. So that's what I'm going to work on this session. I call it there and back again, meaning I should be able to go to the selected level and then hit escape or something and then go back to the level selector and pick another level. That's what I'm going to do in this session, and I've got, an hour or two to get that done. I think I can do it. I think I can. Okay. So first I'm just going to write some code that will load the level selector. So I was going to create a new one that would be homed inside of the level selector namespace, but I kind of like the idea of putting that inside of this class I've already got called scene loader, and I think I might call it instead navigation util. No, I'll keep it. I'll keep it called what I called it before. Okay. So it makes me wonder, what's the best way to manage this? So a problem with the functionality here is it needs a mono behavior in order for it to work because of the reliance on coroutines. Coroutines work when you attach them to some kind of object. So if this object goes away, when the scene unloads, I could call its load scene or load function again after the new scene loads, and it won't work because this singleton is attached to a this, and that this is coming from an object that's already been unloaded. But I know that there's some other possibilities there. So let me do a little pocket design here. Pocket design is my term for writing a quick, temporary little bit of design right inside of the source code, and then as soon as the issue that it was applied to is resolved, I just delete the notes there. And I start with the assumption that I might have more than one approach. So number one, my first approach, use don't destroy on unload, or I might have the name wrong. In what, awake, I think. Flush out, but if I want to keep doing that, one game object instance for all scenes. Okay. Number two, I'll just write one that I know I want to throw out, which is use synchronous load. That's like a junk solution. But I would no longer need the mono behavior if I did that. 3. Each scene has its own scene loader game object. Combined with prefab and an init of a scene init that adds missing game objects, adds expected game objects that are missing. I was already thinking about doing this because here's the problem that solves. This would be a two birds with one stone problem. So the way I started out making my levels is I would create one scene and I'd have it all working in there, and then I would also at the same time be coding up new features and making changes to existing features. And I would do a save as on one level to a new scene, and I'd start making a new scene. But while I'm working on that second scene, I'm making changes to the expected game objects that are going to be there. I don't mean just like the ones like the geometry of the level that you see, but some of the game objects that are part of maybe the infrastructure or general functionality of that level and all the future levels that I plan to make. So if I sort of advance to V2 of the infrastructure inside of my second level, when I go back to the first level, it's still on V1 of the infrastructure. So it's got a whole bunch of game objects in it maybe that no longer correspond to what the code expects, or it can be missing features that were implemented in the V2 infrastructure. So if there's some means to go to any level and just kind of correct all of the game object related problems that might be there, or missing game objects kind of related to infrastructure, general functionality, then that could be very helpful. So this one's kind of jumping up as like a favorite. Let me think. Are there any other approaches that are worth considering? So one thing is that it doesn't really matter which game object. I don't think it does anyways, that I get the mono behavior from, and the start coroutine method declaration, probably other things too. It doesn't really matter. So write code to just find, I don't want to find an existing one. I think I want to instance a game object. This one seems potentially very clean. And use that. I kind of don't like the idea that I might need a game object in the scene to use, when it's really its only function is for me to be able to call this start coroutine. That's the only thing I use it for. So why have where did I put it? Let's see, it was, yeah, I put it on hallway. So I just add the script to hallway. It doesn't really have much of anything to do with hallway. It's really just a means that I can use. It's an object instance I can use to make asynchronous calls. That's it. So this one's kind of cool. A junk solution. I don't think I'll pick this one, but I'll just put it here to keep my brain working. Find a game object in the scene and use that. So there'll be some kind of init code that would go find it. Open question. Is accessing a bad game object safe? I know it will generate an exception, but there's some things that you get exceptions in the development environment for, but when you build a player and you run them in the real world, outside of the dev environment, it's no longer a safe operation to perform. It can cause the app to crash. And I've seen some problems that have come up where even in the development environment I would get unpredictable behavior. So generally whenever there's something that's kind of wrong and you're not supposed to do it, even when it's caught by an error, even when the exception it generates is caught, I try to avoid doing it because I don't know how that's going to play in different environments or even the development environment. Like if I get some weird error that's hard to find the cause of it, and I know I've got some junky stuff going on somewhere, I'll always be like circling back to that junky stuff. Is that the cause of it? So I might as well fix the junky stuff, right? That's what I did when I found that there were like these instances, resource manager callbacks being created. And I say I fixed them, and right now it's pretty clear I didn't fix them all. Some of these are still being generated apparently. Yeah, I gotta keep an eye out for those. I thought I had fixed them all. Maybe those are a result of like the debugger stopping before cleanup or something like that. I don't know. I'll keep an eye out for them. Okay. If not, then we need reset hooks in objects with static members. Be more specific. Static variables. I may want that anyways. So this is kind of the same example. Well, this is an example of that problem. So I've got a static instance of this class. In the constructor, I set it to this. But as soon as I load a different scene, that instance is invalid unless I do something with this don't destroy and unload or whatever it's called. So here's something I could try that wouldn't be too hard. Create game object in load scene in load. Remove all static variables. Pastio to load scene. Move all static variables. Let's say that'd be removing the singleton more specifically. Okay. Then load become load and load scene are static. No need for singleton. That's simple enough that I might just try it now and see what problems it presents. The game object might need to be instanced within the scene. Alright, you know one thing I need to do before I start on this? I have working code now, does a lot of things, and I might be about ready to screw it up. So let me do a git commit. I haven't done any on this. I haven't even done a git init, which is one of my basic safety nets, so that'd be a great thing to add in. Okay, so let's go to, I figured this out once before, ls, okay, ignore, that's the one I want. Okay. That's pretty good. I think that might be just what I want. Okay. Okay, let's do git init here. Okay. Okay. There. If I fuck something up really bad, I can just go back. It's not that hard. Okay. So let me try this idea, which is very simple and self-contained, not that ambitious. And it doesn't seem to have regrettable changes in it that I'll have to redo. but we'll see. Okay, so let's take out the singleton. Make this a static class. Okay. So I don't even need that. Take that out. Okay, so it's that simple, huh? Oh, actually, I could just go geo. I thought that was going to work. Where is it actually defined in? Maybe I need a certain component from it? It doesn't seem right. that's not it. Okay, maybe it would help if I see what actually defines it. So it should be mono behavior. But if I have a game object, call start coroutine on game object. Okay. Okay. So, let me just see if I can get this to work, though. It feels like I should be able to get it to work. Yeah, but at the same time, what's my cleanup gonna be? What is my cleanup gonna be? because the very thing, all the asynchronous stuff it's trying to do depends upon this kind of dummy instance that I could create. Let me just see if it works to start. I don't think that's what he did. This feels weird. Yeah, this feels weird. Yeah, I don't think that's valid. All right. I mean, I could come up with some kind of component to add, but I don't. It just feels like I'm getting further and further away from a non-janky solution. So let's put this back in. I'm just going to assume this is bad to do. I don't know if I'll find an answer that says, yes, you can do it, it's safe. And things just don't work like that. This won't help me because I'll be running into the same problem. Just because you have a game object doesn't mean you have a mono behavior. So yank that. Instancing a game object it's not that helpful. It's janky. I just looked into it. Okay. Let's take out that. I know I don't want that. Okay, so how would this boot thing work? Oh, not the hiccups. Let's see. So I could have one prefab for all the scene stuff, I think. In practice, I know that I always have to unpack parts of the prefab. And once you unpack the prefab, it's no longer synchronized. So maybe it's there's one sort of root, or call it what do we call it? Meta, maybe. Okay, so you have meta, which is for I actually figured out a pretty good structure for this already. But anyways, no, let's stick with that. Say there's one meta game object, and inside of that, prefabs can be loaded, such as this one that I care about, the scene loader. I just really need to be careful about sweater threads here, because there's a lot of design work I could get into. All right. So meta, get scene loader. And maybe it's not prefabs, it could be components added to it. But to start with, I honestly, I don't need to write all this game object synchronization and checking and loading stuff. I can just set up in my scenes a game object that is consistent in the scenes, and then I won't have to pull that sweater thread. I can just focus on what I'm already doing. So let me just do that. I also kind of want to make like a reusable singleton class too, so I stop thinking about as much. Singleton. Okay. Let's do T like that. What's it? I can't remember. Is it like that? Okay. So then we say T instance, and this is going to be static. And then what is it? I think I'm fiddling here. Again, sweater threads. This isn't helping me that much, actually. Let me just get rid of that. Don't save. All right. Do it like that. Let's do that. So that might actually work. I don't know if I actually have to do any cleanup on the static variable, because the idea would be that when you load in the new scene, its constructor will call. It'll set the instance to be this. But if I load in a new scene and it doesn't contain the scene loader or an object with a scene loader component, then the old instance will be there. So then the cleanup wouldn't have been performed, and I would get different kinds of errors. Well, I'd get one kind of error, meaning the instance would be invalid. So that may be okay. That may be okay. I do like this syntax better. Okay, let me just verify real quick that I didn't break anything. Cool. Okay. So then, let's create this empty object. I'm going to call it meta. And instead of having a scene loader here, I'm going to have it on the meta object. Okay. I could prefab that. I could put things like screen fader on it. That might make sense. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Sweater threads. Stick to the mission. Okay, now that I moved it to a new game object, does it still work? Yep. Okay. Let's open one of the different scenes. Okay, I drag meta into here, and that should give me the same functionality. So now I want like some junky thing. Let's call this main. What is this? Names for this. If the user presses escape, oh, yeah. That was a scene loader instance. Load 0. Is it nullable? I doubt it is. No, I guess it is. If it's nullable, then I'll do equals null. Then I can say we're not going to call back if it's null. Okay, I like that. And I'll also make one. Let's change this. Change this to. Okay. Okay. So then I can say let's do something to avoid a problem there. Nah, this is junk code. Okay. So I think that could work. Let me. Not sure why that's not there yet. What am I missing? What am I missing? Mono behavior. There we go. So that, save that. Now let me go to the other scene and make the same changes. Okay, save that. I could start here. I don't need to start from the level selector. Might as well try it. Okay, so if I hit escape, it goes to my level selector. So then I came back to here and I hit escape again. It didn't do anything. Console. Meta is inactive. All right, so let me do that again. Okay, so for number one, it seems to work. Nope. Well, I've got other static stuff going on in the level selector to fix. Boy, it really does make me stop and think. Not just how I can untangle all this stuff, but how I can form a set of best practices and reusable code where I just don't think about it. Because I don't want to have to continuously be going and finding places where I've got references to objects that are invalid after a scene loads. So I think there really is something there for me to evolve. my programming practices in Unity. Let's see where it was calling code for that. The audio point pool. Figuring out when my sweetie's getting home. Okay. "9:30", she says. It's 8:03 now. So I'm not going to try to fix all my bugs. I'm going to verify that I can go there and back again. This is kind of a cheap way of meeting my session goal because I did there and back again. Because I know there is an issue when I return to the level selector on the second time. When I hit enter, I'll get it. So that is a bug to be fixed in another session. It's also kind of the tip of the iceberg, because I have to come up with a general strategy, a general practice for dealing with static variables in classes so that they're reset or preserved or something. Not the static variables, but basically I don't want a mix of static variables and non-static variables. I guess that's it, really. I don't want like one to be preserved, the static variables to be preserved when the others are blown away as I go to a new scene. So generally when I use static variables, I don't mean for them to exist beyond the scope of the scene. There are going to be some cases like that. But what I intend for the static variables to be is available inside the scope of one scene. So I think I need something that kind of resets all the objects that have static variables when a new scene loads or the current scene unloads. I want to do a little more reading, maybe around the life cycle events and callbacks and when the loading and unloading happens and when I can expect things to go away, stuff like that. And kind of come up with that before I return and fix this bug. So I don't just want to hack through it. I'll come up with a general approach. That's the thing. So there I'm back again. That was my session goal. I did achieve that. And it exposed me. It exposed me to a deeper problem that I will need to solve. That is all. Gonna stop the stream. Gonna stop it. Gonna stop it anytime now. It could be right now, or it could be